Hi everyone. Today we're going to do something pretty cool. We're going to try and isolate a species which is unknown to science. We're going to do that by focusing on a group of organisms which has the highest diversity of unknown species. That group of organisms are called the fungal kingdom. It's estimated that upwards of 10 million fungi exist. However, only 1 to 200,000 are actually known and actually have a name associated with a specimen. Fungi are absolutely ubiquitous. Their highest diversity is probably in the soil, but they're also present on leaves, within trees, in bark, in your microbiome, in your pet's microbiome. They've got pathogenic, parasitic, commensal, symbiotic relationships with plants, with animals such as insects, and even other fungi. They feed us, they heal us. Fungi are awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on a super undersampled group of fungi called the microfungi. In particular, the microfungi that inhabit the leaf surface of plants. We're going to go up to some remnant subtropical rainforest up in the mountains back here, which is very uncharacteristic of this area.
Look at the beautiful nature of this ecosystem.
I mean, we're in dry, sclerophyll, temperate eucalyptus forest. And there's apparently some subtropical rainforest up there with unique flora and fauna, as well as some chasms and caves. We're going to climb down the caves. We might even take a soil sample as well to see if there's any unique or novel microfungi in the soil. But we're going to take a snippet of a leaf, potentially a bird's nest fern or an interesting rainforest species, and we'll try and culture up the microfungi that are inhabiting that leaf. If we get a culture, we'll send the culture away for analysis of its DNA, and if the DNA comes back and it proves that it's a novel species, we'll give that species a name and we'll publish it. We'll deposit the culture into a fungal culture bank, and now there's a name associated with the culture, and that culture is preserved for future research and future study. Fungi are unfortunately going extinct before they can even get a name. This is due to habitat destruction as well as a change in climate. With 8 million plus unknown species, this will be fun.
Well, the sunset rays are shining. Me and Kai have got our tools. A basket and a trowel and a book with all the rules. Don't ever eat boletus if the tube mouths they are red. Stay away from the amanitas or brother you are dead.
So where we're going up here, it's a mountain facing south. So it's protected from the elements, creating this kind of microclimate, we're told, where all these subtropical plants and animals live. And because of the, higher rainfall and the cooler temperatures, they can actually survive in this environment, which is pretty uncharacteristic of the surrounding environment. If you can see in the background here, these rolling, undulating hills. There's nothing really subtropical. Also told that there's a series of chasms down here, which contain a number of caves that we're going to try and explore as well. See if we can sample any soil from those caves where ideally there's been less influence from humans. Also, we're told that there is the largest examples of the stinging tree, which is the plant in the world which gives the most painful sting. A few reports don't sound too convincing, one of which says that it feels like hot acid being burnt on your skin whilst being electrocuted. So it doesn't sound too hot. But we'll see. Up this mountain we go. We've pretty much come to the top of the ridge now. And you wouldn't believe it, but the vegetation we're looking for is up here in this pocket. It's actually a bit of a basin from what I've seen on Google Maps and Google Earth. Also with these series of chasms and caves down to 90 meters in depth. So it's probably going to be quite cool down there. But just just looking from here, it doesn't look as though there is much subtropical vegetation in here. So I'll be interested to see what we find a bit further. Here we come, looking down into the chasm, and look at this. See fig trees, pears, some eucalypts. I assume there's a lot of staghorns and elk horns down there. And there's some grass trees down there too. And we are gonna head up here and down into the chasms. Try and get a closer look. Get amongst the vegetation. Can already hear some unique bird life I don't hear elsewhere. As we come down, the temperature will drop. Start seeing some mosses, some orchids and ferns. Beautiful. Ooh. A beautiful elk horn up there. There's a cave down the bottom here, as marked on the map. We'll try and get down there. There's a little microbat here, roosting in this little cave. A fine specimen. You can see how this was formed.
The chasms are part of the Carboniferous Walloringa Formation, and they formed as a result of these sandstone blocks slowly separating and heading downwards toward the bottom of the valley. This was aided by underlying rocks such as shale and coal, which acted as what's called a slip plain. Over millions of years, these chasms grew wider, large boulders and rocks fell down and made pockets of caves and tunnels under the surface, which is what we are going to explore today.
And then all this rubble has filled in. Apparently it was up to 100 meters deep at one point. Now you can see it's probably only 20 to 30 meters. This really is a beautiful feature. And here, I believe, is the entrance to the cave, a cave. This is how we're entering it. Clary is down there. Take a soil sample. Got a bag. There's a little spider there. Try and avoid that. Put gloves on. And go down. So try to head torch. Try and not drop my phone.
Where's the gold?
Have a good snooze in there. And then I'm just going to sample some soil here. Try and disturb it as least as possible. I'm just going to grab a bag. Sample some in this little chamber here. Beautiful conglomerate on the walls. A bone. Hope that's not human. Not sure what mammal would be bringing in a bone here, because I don't think a wild dog can reach here. So it is quite strange. Oops. Not sure if that's possible. You want to try and not contaminate the sample with your own microbiome and DNA, so it's quite difficult to do.
I apologise for the poor film in here, you really can't see much of the action. I'm simply taking a handful of soil into a sandwich bag. It's a little tricky to film. Soil actually holds the highest diversity of microbial life. In this unique, undersampled and less impacted environment,
This theoretically will increase our chance of isolating a species that's previously unknown to science.
And so there is some influence from the outside ecosystem, but take a sample, try and minimize contamination as much as possible. I'll show you what to do with that later. Get back out to the daylight.
On the way out, we noticed a granny's cloak moth, which was exhibiting this beautiful eye mimicry. It's used to deter predators away.
Sorry about this poor filming. It's the best I can do. We break day.
Ecosystems which form by microclimates are fascinating places on Earth. Environmental variables such as sunlight, wind, humidity, and temperature are uncharacteristic of the surrounding area, and they suit species that have adapted to these conditions. This is caused by the geology and topography of the area. In the case that we're exploring, thanks to these deep pockets of Earth and protection by a large south-facing wall, some very stylish and cool plants are invited to set up camp, and you won't find them up the road outside of this oasis.
Out from a little cave, get down, but beautiful down here. If you have a look. Be careful where you put your hands as well. You don't want to touch a stinging tree. I'm going to head down into the chasm. We're really in the thick of the jungle now. There's a sign, someone's surveyed this area. Spiny small tree, some brushberry. This tree here. Look at all these bird's nest ferns absolutely everywhere. It's a sign of a healthy ecosystem.
Give it the nutrients it didn't realise it needed.
Beautiful staghorns up there.
Staghorn and elkhorn ferns are awesome plants. Similar to the plant inhabiting fungi, they are epiphytic, meaning they live upon another plant or animal or even a rock. In this case, mainly they're living off trees. They are part of the genus Platycerium, which has approximately 18 species native to Australia, Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia. They are highly adapted for rainforest environments, high humidity, and warmer temperatures.
There's an actual beautiful specimen up there with an orchid growing all the way through the staghorn.
Interestingly, they don't actually have roots, so they survive off fallen tree leaves and debris, animal poo or feces, and even dead animals. They churn it all up into their own compost and live off it. Also similar to fungi, ferns produce spores for reproduction.
Here we are deep in this rainforest ecology, and I just wanted to point out that we are absolutely surrounded by stinging trees. Species name, Stingius hirtius. There's one there, up here, absolutely surrounded by them. And as I said before, the pain is apparently next to unbearable. Decdrocnide excelsa is the Latin name. And there is one specimen actually right behind me, which I'll show you. They actually contain hairs, really fine hairs on the surface of the leaf, which if touched will expel into the skin of yourself, and then they will break up and release toxins. But interestingly, they're not actually causing any damage to your cells. They're interfering with your nervous system and making you essentially experience pain. But what I can show you is here there are actually fine hairs on the surface of the leaf, which are what eject into your skin. They're very fine and quite difficult to see, but they're probably at a density of about 40 to 50 per centimeter squared. Maybe more because they're quite small. And they've also been subject to herbivory as well. Some insect is having a chew. Look at the beautiful nature of this ecosystem.
This place held some other beautiful plants, including tree ferns, bird's nest ferns, elephant ears, and of course the stinging trees. If ever a rock needed a hug, this Moreton Bay fig was doing the trick. It's pretty exciting to share the air with these beautiful plants.
The light is getting low. We're going to start heading back. I'll sample a leaf on the way. Oh. Okay. So here we are.
Normally, I would have sterilized these scissors just before use. However, in the field, sterilization can be quite tricky. So I'm just going to trust my sterilization before we left for this field trip.
What we're going to do is sample a leaf here from this bird's nest fern. And we just need a small section of the leaf. I'm going to target an area which this leaf here looks like it's been attacked by some sort of pathogen, potentially fungal. So that might be a good candidate if you want to study interesting fungal pathogens, but I think all microfungi are interesting. I've got a sample bag here, fresh sample bag, and I've got some scissors. I just want to simply cut off a section of the leaf. This may be a little bit tricky. I'm just going to cut off a section. Like that. Seal it up. You don't want to take too much of the plant because you actually need a permit to collect leaf material in protected areas and national parks. You don't need to take the whole leaf, but we'll get some interesting fungi hopefully. Okay. Just coming out onto a middle ridge that we can walk parallel along. Get back out of this system. But wow, amazing place. Look at that down there. Look at the size of those stinging trees.
We set out in the forest to seek the wild mushroom in shapes diverse and colorful, shining through the woodland gloom.
I'll make another video about how to isolate the microfungi inhabiting those samples, and if indeed any of those fungi are novel, then I'll show you also how to potentially name it and publish it as well. You're just going to need DNA linked to that specimen. You're going to need to deposit it in a herbarium. But yeah, stay tuned for another video about how to do that. And thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace out.
Multiple fibers through the roots and sod. Some make you mighty sick, they say, or bring you close to God. So here's to the mushroom family, a far-flung friendly clan. For food, for fun, for poison, they are a help to man.